All right, happy to have Gary Locke with us, former U.S. ambassador to China, former Commerce Secretary, so much more. The president, of course, has been in China and securing $9 billion worth of deals. Ambassador, what are your thoughts on that and what we get out of this? I know a lot of companies benefit, including your old neck of the woods in case of Boeing and Goldman and Ford and GM and Qualcomm. The question is whether any of that will be helpful to wedging concessions to the North Koreans. What do you think?
Well, obviously, this is good news for U.S. companies and American workers, but on all of these presidential visits, whether to Europe or to parts of Asia, it's always traditional to announce all these big trade deals. Many of these have already been in the works for quite some time, and they're just kind of packaged together to really provide a lot of good news for the people back home. Many of these deals will be over the next several years. Some of them are not even firm. I think the bigger question is whether or not the president and his administration and Secretary Ross can really push the Chinese to open up many sectors of the Chinese economy that are currently off limits to foreign and U.S. investment. The real challenge is to make sure that the Chinese are not discriminating against U.S. companies and foreign companies, not requiring the divulging of trade secrets or source codes in terms of intellectual property as a condition of doing business in China. I think that's the bigger challenge and the biggest concern of American companies.
Now, this president's position has been, and he campaigned on it, as you know, saying the Chinese need us a lot more than we need them. We've kowtowed to them. He criticized President Obama for constantly kowtowing and Bush before him, all that. So he wasn't going to do that. What do you think of that approach?
Well, actually, I think the two countries need each other. Quite frankly, with the rising middle class of China and the growing demand of the Chinese and hunger of the Chinese people for high-quality products, that's a natural fit for U.S. companies with our medical devices, our sophisticated machinery, our equipment, even our environmental services to help them deal with the terrible pollution, air and water pollution of China. But China right now has become so economically strong that they're actually venturing out to many parts of the world with their One Belt, One Road initiative, where they're going to be building hospitals and roads and infrastructure for other countries and giving business opportunities to their own Chinese companies. They are on a major economic offensive, diplomatic charm offensive all around the world, now that China has become so strong, especially with President Xi amassing such enormous power, great influence around the world, and is elevated to a status akin to Chairman Mao of many decades ago. Yeah. So I think that, quite frankly, China is in a very, very strong position economically, politically, diplomatically all around the world.
All right. Thank you, Ambassador Gary Locke, the former U.S. ambassador to China, former Commerce Secretary.